Nice. Alright, I'm gonna go get the door. Okay. What the heck? That's not good. Oh. That's not good at all. What the heck? Alright, well, I don't know if everything is connected properly. For some reason one of my cameras is not working. That's okay. I'm just gonna work on the assumption that the rest is functioning like it's supposed to. And on that assumption, welcome back to another stream. It's been a while. Too long. But I have not been unproductive. I'm happy to say I've gotten a decent amount done, mostly with this Hive Tyrant, who is going to be the subject of today's session. So here the guy is. He's still in 2 parts until he's closer to being finished. I'm mostly done with his upper half. I'm not sure. I might go back and do some touch-ups here and there, but for the most part, I think he's where he's supposed to be. And all that's really left to do is to get his legs and base done, which there's going to be a lot less work there thanks to not having these insane wings. But yeah, I'm liking how he's coming together. Like I mentioned when I was working on the Hormagaunts, my goal and my hope for this color scheme was to have something that was quick and easy to paint, but also that would stand out. The January ice cream truck is rolling through the neighborhood. You know what? I wonder. Maybe I stop this real. Yeah, something about I tried to set this up to dual stream to YouTube, and something about that seems to have messed up the camera connection. Oh, but we are live, so let's get the recording going. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Try to get through that. I did get some fun new stuff. I got this Lord of Poxes. I am not a big fan of Nurgle personally, but not only is this model kind of cool just on its own, but I am hoping to modify it, convert it to use for my Space Marine chapter in the future. That's some way down the road though, so we'll see. So let's get this camera right down here. Okay. So as far as the Hive Tyrant's legs, I already did some work. Just kind of putting some of his glowing colors on these exposed muscles. I'm just kind of looking for a couple more spots to put some color. I haven't decided yet exactly where that will be. I'm thinking he's got some sort of cavities along the sides of his feet that might be okay. And then I'm also going to do some touch-ups on his claws, or claws and hoofs, I should say. And then we'll try to get into the base a little bit. We've got, I don't know if it's clear to see on camera, but there is a Space Marine helmet down there. That is to recognize this guy's one and only achievement on the battlefield, which was managing a turn 1 charge into a Redemptor Dreadnought and killing it in 1 round of combat, the very first time I fielded him. And then he never did anything cool ever again, but just basically be a chaperone for the zoanthropes. So so he gets a cool paint job and he gets a commemorative base. Let's see. So I think I'm going to start with the blue here. I haven't been using this for the most part for this mini just because I don't have anything to attach the torso to, and that's what I've spent the most time working on. But now he's on his base, so we can make use of. I'm trying to figure out the best angle here. I feel like it's been so long that the whole camera setup has to be retuned. There we go. Hopefully that will hold the focus. So yeah, that helmet's going to be a salamander. That's who I was facing. That army became a particular rival for mine during that crusade. A lot of fun. That might be partly why I ended up doing some of my starter box miniatures as salamanders. So I managed this with a little bit of success on the torso. On his gun, we've got a little bit of blending between some black, I don't know what, yeah, there's just black metallic, and then I did a bit of gunmetal and steel and managed to get a decent little blend there, and so I want to achieve the same on his hooves and claws. Should be pretty straightforward. That's been kind of the biggest experiment with this guy, is trying to really get a grip on some blending techniques, and I think I've done decently, not amazingly, which partly is because I'm going through it very quickly. I wanted this to be a fast paint scheme, and more recently I also found this painting competition on Instagram. Oh, actually, I want that to be towards the bottom. We're gonna do the no, I like this more. We'll have the dark towards the top. But yeah, I saw this painting competition for small accounts on Instagram, and I thought, hey, what a good opportunity to turn this motivation to something useful. So, but also that competition had I should say has, it's still ongoing, a very quick turnaround. We're supposed to submit by the end of the month. So that was another reason to try and get the little homeboy done as quickly as possible. This gunmetal is coming out really light. lighter than I expected. And also, his little side talons are really kind of in the way. Mostly what I've tried to do with the blending on this guy has been wet blending, so I try to get some color on there and then get the next color and start mixing them together while they're both still wet on the model. For the most part, it feels like it's worked decently. It doesn't seem like a technique that consistently generates the smoothest transition. I think you have to put in more work with like with glazes or something. But I think it's still working. I definitely feel like it's more effective with the blues than with these metallics. But that might also just be because the metallics are a little bit thick. They're airbrush paints, so I didn't really thin them down because I don't want them to get too runny. And I've heard that it's generally unwise to thin metallic paints. I don't know how true that is. I personally haven't noticed a significant difference either way. I think that maybe that might be something that applies to some higher level painting techniques and painters. Let's go back to the black here. Get some. I went back and forth on whether or not to have the dark metallic towards the base of these claws or towards the tip. And I feel like towards the base is what, I don't know, feels more natural or looks more natural, I think. Even though logically I feel like if a creature like this existed, the older, darker, more worn growth would be pushed to the tip. You know, that would be the stuff that's on the outside. ended up going the opposite direction just because I think it looks cooler. And at the end of the day, the rule of cool always prevails. I'm gonna have to come back and do some touch-ups there because I just know I'm gonna get more green from the helmet on his talons here. There you go. Sometimes it blends nicely. Granted, with these metallics, it's a very small difference, so it's not very noticeable. We'll have to do another pass to touch up the black for the carapace. It's got these sort of interlocking joints here. I think I might do some of the blue there. So let's go ahead and pull some of that down. And now I'm mentally trying to plan ahead and figure out what I'm going to paint after this guy. I think I'm probably going to continue with these Tyranids. I've got I've been thinking it'll be some gargoyles. I have a box of gargoyles to put together, and I just recently found some really cool Tyranid themed flying bases that I can print off for them. So I'm liking that idea, but I'm also tempted to do another character. Let's see, can we get in here? There we go. Oh, sloppy. Oof, yeah, that was rough. We got that paint all over the place. And by we, I mean me, you're not responsible. So, just a little in there. I did another glowing talon on the back, and I don't want to go too crazy on the legs just because they're not a focal point of the miniature at all, and honestly most of them are going to be sort of covered up by the torso. His great big gun is going to block a lot of view of the legs, but that's nice. Yeah, just a little quick dots on his ankles. like when miniatures have little spaces like this that just really invite you to put something there. I might glow up these other talons though. It feels a little weird to have just one on each leg. So let's do all three, and then we'll see how we feel, because I can always go back and cover them up if need be. Because he always seemed to have a hard time doing anything useful on the battlefield. I won't say he wasn't doing anything useful, but nothing interesting, I'll say. I had a hard time for a long time deciding what to name him. Because, I mean, I feel like for a lot of armies, but especially for the Tyranids, you know, you can give anybody a name off the rip, but it's more interesting if they earn it. You know, if they do something cool, and then you can give them a name based on whatever that was. And that makes a lot of sense for Tyranids, because they don't have an identity or anything. Whatever they're called is just whatever they're referred to by the people fighting them. And so until they have done something that would earn a reputation, there's no reason to call them anything other than, oh, that big ugly hive tyrant over there. But because he seemed to spend every battle hanging back and buffing the Zoanthropes and the Warlord and being their bodyguard, I decided to call him the Dusk Warden. Which is what eventually led me to incorporate a little bit of purple into this game. I had planned on keeping it all black and blue, but see if we can make it out. Yeah, so just some really low-key dark purple in a couple of places for a little bit of a dusky vibe. So, you know, he's the Dusk Warden, and now he's gonna have a model that will live up to the hype and hopefully encourage him to do some cool stuff instead of sitting at the back of the battlefield all the time. Part of that is, I think, also because I've only used this character in Crusade so far, which sort of discourages modifying the models. Once you have picked one and chosen its equipment and everything, that stuff is locked in unless you spend Crusade resources to change it. Which, you know, it's not out of reach or anything, but personally I've found that the Tyranids they don't get resources very quickly in Crusade, and so a lot of times they're better spent elsewhere. So you can't afford to be changing his gear all the time. Which means that sometimes he gets stuck in pretty unfavorable matchups. Alright, so that is step 2. Electric blue, literally. And then my highest color has been this glacier blue, except for most spots I found that's a little too strong, a little too close to perfect white. So I usually mix it with some of the electric blue to bring it down a little bit. And we'll definitely do that here just because this is meant to be a low-key area anyway. There's no reason for it to be having some kind of intense glow. Okay. Oh man. I'm trying to figure out my wet palette situation. I got this wet palette a long time ago, and it came with a whole little ream of membrane paper to use. And I don't know if the paper is old or my setup is wrong or something, but I've found that it dries out really fast. So today I'm trying just some regular old baking sheet paper. Let's see how that works. Alright, so this is just some ice blue mixed with the electric blue. It's not as strong, but it's still pretty bright. Should be pretty easy to pick out there. Take this opportunity to touch up his, I don't even know what this is, this tail stinger thing. Like this, I think that this proxy has a few different options that you can use for the, I mean the tail and the legs are one piece, but you know, different tail options. And I picked this one because it was the most aggressive feeling. But like these prongs, they're not very sharp on the miniature. Like, you know, compared to like these little spurs on his ankles, those are sharp as hell. Even the stuff that he's got some on his knees here, on his thighs, and that looks sharper than these tail prongs. This is like some kind of goad almost, it looks like to me, like he's got some kind of tail taser tail. That's a stupid name. It's metaphorical. sort of side barbs. What those... I just treat anything that's like small and near a larger spike as like a Godzilla-esque charging indicator. So you can make them a little brighter towards the business end. I've already sort of done a little bit of highlighting on these exposed muscle sections. My initial pass was just with the I think it's called Arcane Blue or Magic Blue or something, and then I just did sort of an edge highlight with the Electric Blue, just over a little smaller area. But that was a really fast pass, so I'm gonna just do it again, liven it up a little bit, and then once that sets, I'll do another smaller pass with the Ice Blue Electric Blue mix. But I feel like that's really about it. So once he's all together, you know, see if he'll fit on camera. I'm probably gonna try to pin him together, so have something holding everything. So yeah, he almost fits. So yeah, you can see once he's assembled, the legs are mostly blocked from view. So I'm not super worried about their aesthetic. What I am wondering how to approach is his base. He's got, I have a set of sort of Tyranid infected terrain base toppers that I got. So he's got one of these. So it's got a mix of sort of Imperial ruins architecture mixed with some Tyranid terraforming stuff, and I'm not sure if I should try to do them, you know, a nice standout color to have more contrast from his body, or, you know, they're all part of the same family, so it also makes sense that it would look similar to him. But I don't have to decide that right away, because I'm going to be doing the Imperial ruins first, and I think I'm just going to launch into that right now. I genuinely don't want to do too much with his legs. One more thing that I am going to do, though, he's got these really nifty, let's get that angle here. He's got these cool, really well-defined, like, tendon things on his feet. And I'm going to do those in a really dark blue. I was debating for a second whether or not to do purple, but it's going to be a very subtle thing anyway, hard to really notice, which begs the question of why bother, but I just feel the need. So far, these regular baking sheets are working way better. Earlier this week when I was using the purpose-made membranes, they were shriveling off the palette while I was painting, like in the space of a couple of hours or less, which made them very difficult to use. This is not as dark as the deep blue that I use for most of the wings, even though they're both, interestingly, so for most of the wings I've been using the Game Color Air, and it's called Imperial Blue, but it's leaning into purple. And then I have the regular Game Color Imperial Blue that is very navy, and it's curious that they look so different, but I am going to yes, the purple could make for some neat oil slick looks. I thought of trying to go for something like that on his wing casings. You know, the beetle shells have that sort of iridescent look. I didn't want to put too much into that part though. Something I might go back to at some point. I also really wanted to read as black. We'll see, maybe. There we go. That's nice. Alright. I did not articulate this, but I did grab some of that airbrush Imperial Blue to put on the balls of his ankles. Just kind of try to blend a little bit with the regular Imperial Blue. Just so there's sort of some kind of transition between the blue and the black. Let's see if I can... There we go. Alright, I think that's probably good. So now I'm gonna go and get some gray. I'm just gonna start with the darkest. It's my heavy charcoal. Let's not leave this open. And start laying some color on the base. I'm not 100% sure how much further he really has. I'm gonna take the whole rest of the month to work on him for the competition, or just get him to a spot and be like, yeah, I'm calling it good. But I am going to use a different brush. Let's just grab our reject brush. This poor guy is begging to be retired, and now I still keep him around. Okay, so we've got some fallen archways. There might be some rebar or metal frames in here. Excuse me. If I can get him centered. The eternal struggle of the good camera angle. Let's see, got some more on this side. This gray is really so dark, it's hardly gonna make a difference. I think some of this will do, like bronze. Try and get it to stand out a little bit more. And then there will be the question of how to paint the rim of the base. Historically, I've just done black, but I feel like it might be fun to pick something a little louder, since so much of the miniature is black. Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to do some rust on the base. I'm pretty sure I have. It's not a texture paint, I think it's just more of a regular shade paint, but it's supposed to be rust colored, so we'll definitely mix some of that in there. It's only fitting for Imperial architecture to be all old and worn down. Probably extra messed up by the Tyranid terraforming process. I really like this particular topper. It's got, you know, this sort of nasty looking honeycomb. I don't remember the term. There's a specific phobia related to it, of like unnatural looking holes, like tryptophobia or something, and that's the vibe from this little nasty Tyranid spawning thing. And at first I was really attached to the idea of making it look like there was some glowing goop coming out, but I love the idea of it, but if I did that, I would really want to have the glow also reflected on the miniature, and I simply don't have the patience for that. Not at this time. So for that reason, this is going to be a quiet, monotone slime pool. That was actually pretty quick. I think we have more or less. So there's an arch here. I think this is probably a fallen window, but it doesn't really make any sense to treat this as glass. It would have fallen and all smashed out. So I'm just gonna fill that in with concrete as well. Alright. So let's go ahead and grab that metallic just so that something is happening visually, easier to see. I think it'll all jump forward a little bit once I take a lighter gray, but I just want to get the... Ooh, actually that's a good point. No, I already put it on my palette. Normally I would really like to have everything sort of on the lowest level painted first before going up to something higher, especially because I'm going to be going back to all this concrete stuff, which means there's a high chance that I'm going to end up splattering this metal with gray, but it's not the end of the world. If I can get in there. Yes, all the way. Alright. So now step up on the gray to cold gray. What else do I have? Let's see. This is some airbrush colors that I just have never really used. And that will probably need less agitation. It's the thing when I keep painting the same schemes over and over again. The rest of the paints start to settle and get weird. Alright, I'm gonna try some of this uniform gray. Now, see, it's happening. The sheet is starting to curl up. Don't know what is the cause, much less the solution. Also, what was I thinking? That's absolutely not going to be enough. There we go. Getting a little bit of water in there. Some airbrush paint, so no reason to go crazy. Now, as I figure it, the surfaces of the architecture are going to be actually like the exposed surfaces, I should say. The stuff that was part of the actual facade is going to be darker for the most part. That's going to be the stuff that has, wow, it's bright as hell. It's going to be the stuff that has accumulated the most wear over time. And then as the building crumbles and is smashed apart in battle, it's going to expose the fresh stone and concrete underneath. Where did I get this? Which is going to be the stuff that's brighter. So that is going to be an interesting thing to try to contrast. Of course. And some of that's just going to be what recess washes are for. He's just going to keep getting stuff on his tail. Come here. Oh, this is embedded in the paint. There we go. This brush is maybe a little too fine for this. Alright, this is gonna be tricky. And just a little bit more here. I have been meaning to get some muddy texture paint, because that would be really useful for making slimy Tyranid stuff, but I have not gotten around to it yet. Okay, so now I think let's try this uniform gray again. It seemed like it was pretty bright. No, not really. Kind of blends right in there. It's good to know though, it's the first time I've used it. Okay, so we won't spend too much time. Go for something different. Got instead some Stonewall Gray. Should be nice from some actual stone walls. Alright. Oh yeah, that's gonna be brillante. One, two. kind of hit all the surfaces that look like they've been broken off from other things. Just really a lot of them. And all of that. So it'll have been cracked open, and all the war and battle, but that will in turn have deposited new dirt and grime all over it. Look at this. This is crazy, man. I don't know if my palette is too moist or not moist enough, but this is drying out. I guess that would be a sign of not moist enough. Like, the sponge is soaked, so I don't know. Simply do not know. Okay. What was I doing? I was looking at a specific little bit of him. But while I'm here, I want to do some of the green because that's going to be fun. So, let's start with this green skin green. This should be pretty bright. If I was smart, I would have made some notes about my recipe for the salamanders, but I didn't. So this will be an adventure in finding the right color. Hopefully, a short adventure. This is pretty bright right off the bat, which is okay. It's got a dark green base coat on it already, so it's okay if this is a little better coverage. This is not enough water. It's not bad for a first pass. Might need one or two more coats. It's already looking pretty green. You know what? I think I have a notion for this tyranno forming. It's just gonna be this dark blue. I think there's some carapace there. There's definitely a lesson here about painting the miniature separate from the base. We'll see if I choose to learn it. Fix that. Honestly, I feel like I can. Here we go. It should be a little more secure. And let's see if I can just sneak this in here. It's worth it to slather some glue on. Nope, there it goes. Hit the leg. That's okay. I was gonna have to touch that up anyway. So it'll look like maybe the fresh growth has more of the strong blue color, and then down towards the base, as it ages and matures, it turns black. This is so tricky. What have we done? Oh, let's see. What's this? Chaos guy fell down. Do I really need to try to clear up some space here? This is getting rather cluttered. And then he's just gonna be standing on like an active node here. Get some more. get some brown. Some ink. Alright, well this is going to need a lot more work, for sure. But I think this is a solid sketch for the base overall. Let's try and do a wash here and see what happens. Because I don't mind too much having to go back and do this gray again. It needs to be brought up, which it probably will. Okay. Just blasted the whole thing with a black shade. We'll see how it sits once it's dry. So we've got sort of a very low glow coming out, so not enough to justify doing lighting on the model itself, but still some color on the base. For a little bit of added dimension. is this? That's gray. That must be gray. So let's get out some actual black. Look at this. The membrane paper is just curling up and drying out in real time. Started off completely flat, completely, I don't know, it seemed like it was absorbing water just fine, but not anymore. Oh yes, the black. I'm just gonna do some touch-ups here. Especially over here where we spilled some blue on it. Let's see, anywhere else? I think we're pretty good. Alright. I don't know that I'm going to be doing anything else really on the torso. Except going back over and making sure to varnish everything. Need some gouache varnish touch-ups and definitely some matte varnish. But yeah, he's looking at you. So we'll see. There's still, of course, the main character of High Fleet Escortigal, which is the Neuro Tyrant. Got his Norn crown made here. At some point, I really need to bite the bullet and try to paint him. But that's gonna be a bit while. I think we'll do at least the gargoyles before we try and do another character. Let's see, I've got a bunch of gray out right now, so let me go ahead and slap some paint on these. There we go. Ooh, that did not dry very well. Whoa, that's dramatically darker. So we can get this fuzz off of here. Oops. It's a pretty presentable objective marker, I would say. Without going too crazy. I don't have the yellow paint out, so I don't think I'm gonna get it out either. Just going to use up this gray before this paper just curls entirely off the palette. The thing I gotta do is reprint my MTG +1/+1 counters, which is a shame. They came out really nice, and apparently I did not measure correctly, so My dice don't fit in them. Sloppy. So, future looks like, there's a possibility that we're finishing up the Hive Tyrant next stream, but there's also a distinct possibility that I'll finish it off stream. It's really just down to vibes, but if I have my way, I will definitely make enough time to paint and probably finish it off stream. In which case I'll work hard to have the gargoyles ready to go. That seems the next most likely thing. Although I'd also really like to get back to doing the other Army from One miniature from the Grimdark Exchange that has just been sitting on my desk this whole time. He's getting agitated. Deserves his time to shine. Oh my gosh, if I break this guy, I will break. I simply cannot be that clumsy. Get a little bit of this brown. Slap that on here. Alright, well, the paper is kicking me off the palette at this point. So, I think we're gonna call it there. And, yeah, I think overall we're finishing in a pretty good place. Let's see if I can get the whole guy in one shot. One more time. Pretty cool centerpiece for a guy who doesn't accomplish anything. I'm talking about him, not me. I accomplish a lot, so much. But yeah. So thanks for stopping in. Hope you enjoyed, and that you'll join us again for another one in the future, which will hopefully be sooner rather than later. But until then, this is daftPirate signing off.